Route 66, Retro Stories, Episode 3, Where the Road Asks You to Stop. In honor of Annabelle's, the diner that doesn't stay in one place, but somehow always finds people who need a light left on. You don't leave that little Route 66 town the same way you came in. The white shield sign at the edge of the road stands in the rearview mirror a little longer this time, like it's watching you go. The cafe where you shared coffee and pie with a stranger shrinks, then disappears around the bend, but the feeling of it settles deeper into your chest instead of fading. On the seat between you, the notebook rides along, its cover catching the passing light. Route 66. Stories for the road. You tap the steering wheel in time with the music coming from the radio. It's that same, not quite the same melody again. The one that sounds like the jukebox from Annabelle's got bored with repeating itself and decided to improvise instead. Your wife listens with her eyes half closed, head resting lightly against the glass. "Feels different now," she says quietly. "The road?" you ask. She shakes her head once, a small gesture. "Us." You don't argue. It's true. The miles ahead unspool in long, quiet stretches. Old fence posts lean into each other like tired friends. The occasional farmhouse slips by. Then a gap, then a cluster of cottonwoods around a dry creek bed that probably hasn't seen water in months. You keep thinking about the girl in the corner booth, the one with the suitcase and the red-rimmed eyes from the cafe. How just sitting with her, listening, felt important in a way you can't quite name. Sometimes the diner doesn't appear as a building, your wife reads softly from the notebook. Sometimes it appears as a table, a booth, a stranger who shows up just in time. She glances over at you. "We were the strangers this time," she says. You adjust your grip on the wheel. "I keep waiting for the neon," you admit. "For the sign to show up again, for the roofline, for the smell of coffee that shouldn't be there." She smiles faintly. "Maybe she's trying to get us used to smaller doors," she says. "Little openings instead of the big obvious one." "Smaller doors?" you echo. "Moments," she says. "The kind we could have walked right past." You think about the matchbook, sitting in the door pocket now instead of on the dash. Annabelle's Diner. Open 24 hours. No address. No town. Just that little neon arrow pointing nowhere in particular. You wonder if maybe it's actually pointing everywhere. You drive until the sun slides from white to yellow to the warm color of toast cooling on a diner plate. The sky deepens. Shadows of distant mesas turn blue around the edges. Ahead, a green highway sign flashes past. "Rest area, 2 miles. "Stop?" your wife asks. You start to say "we're fine," out of habit. The tank's half full. You're not tired yet. The road is open and the evening is friendly. But something in your chest nudges you, just a little. You think of that first line in the notebook. "If you're here, the road has chosen you." You clear your throat. "Yeah," you say. "Let's stop." The rest area isn't much to look at when you roll in. 2 low brick buildings, one closed, one open. A row of picnic tables, a scattering of trash cans, a playground that's seen better decades. One of the swings hangs crooked. The other sways slowly in the breeze like a ghost with nowhere better to be. There's only one other vehicle parked there. A tired-looking minivan, paint faded, back bumper held on with hope and zip ties. Its hood is up. You pull in a couple of spaces away. The engine ticks as it cools. You sit for a second, hands resting on the wheel, listening. No jukebox, no clink of diner plates. Just the wind and the distant rush of passing trucks on the highway. And underneath it all, the low, steady hum of the road. The one that started to sound less like background noise and more like someone humming along with you. Your wife breaks the silence. "Feels like a page," she says. "A page?" you ask. She nods toward the minivan. "Like something's already written here," she says. "We're just catching up to it." You step out of the car. The air is cooler than it looked from inside, with that particular evening chill that sneaks under collars and up sleeves. Gravel crunches under your shoes. Near the open hood, a man in his 30s stands with his hands on his hips, staring down at the engine like it insulted his family name. His sweatshirt sleeves are pushed up. There's grease on his wrist. He doesn't look angry exactly, just worn out. On the picnic table nearby, a woman sits with 2 kids, a boy and a girl. The boy kicks his feet against the bench. The girl clutches a stuffed animal that's seen a lot of love and a little bit of life. Their plates are paper, the food mostly eaten. A few fast food wrappers are weighed down with rocks against the breeze. You walk over slowly, not wanting to startle anyone. "Evening," you say. The man looks up, blinking like you pulled him out of a deep thought. "Hey," he says. There's worry in his voice he doesn't bother to hide. "Car trouble?" you ask, nodding at the open hood. He huffs out a breath that's almost a laugh. "That obvious, huh?" "Only a little," you say. Your wife has drifted closer, too. The notebook held loosely at her side like any other travel journal. The woman at the table gives you a small nod, the kind strangers give each other in the middle of nowhere. Not friendly, not unfriendly, cautious, hopeful. "Overheating?" you ask. "Something like that," the man says. "Light came on, then it just kind of died when I pulled in. Won't start again." He rubs the back of his neck. "We're trying to get to Flagstaff tonight," he adds, as if that explains everything and nothing at once. You glance at your wife. She glances back. You both know the feeling. You lean over the engine with him, not pretending to be more of a mechanic than you are, but willing to look. Hoses, belts, wires, pieces of someone's life held together by plastic clips and good intentions. The man points. "Coolant's low, but not empty," he says. "Oil's fine. Battery's new. I don't get it." He runs a hand through his hair, then wipes it on his jeans when he remembers the grease. "When did it stop?" your wife asks from behind you. 10 minutes ago," the woman answers. "Right when we pulled in. Like it was waiting." She says it like she doesn't want to put too much meaning on the words, but they hang there anyway, like it was waiting. You straighten up. "Phones?" you ask. "Any signal?" The man pulls his out, shakes his head. "Nothing. My wife has one too. Same thing." "I've got a bar or two," your wife says, checking hers. "But it keeps appearing and disappearing." She frowns. "And no data," she adds. "Can't even load a map." "Of course," the man mutters. You step back, take in the scene. Empty rest area, tired family, broken down van, a sky sliding quietly toward night. You've seen enough pages of the notebook by now to recognize the shape of a story forming even before you read it. You don't see any neon. No glowing sign, no chrome counter or spinning stools. But you feel it. That tilt in the ordinary. The sense that the road just flipped its coin again and it landed right here. The boy at the table watches you with open curiosity. "Are you broke down too?" he asks. "Not yet," you say. "Just stopping to stretch." He nods solemnly, as if this is an acceptable reason to exist. Your wife smiles at him. "What's your name?" she asks. "Eli," he says. "This is my sister, Nia." Nia hugs her stuffed animal a little closer, but gives a shy wave. Your wife's eyes soften. "I like your friend," she says, nodding at the stuffed animal. Nia's shoulders relax a fraction. "He's a tiger," she says quietly. "But he's not scary. He just pretends so I don't have to." Your wife laughs, warm and genuine. "That sounds like a good arrangement," she says. The woman at the table, Eli and Nia's mom, you assume, watches all this with an expression that's part exhaustion, part gratitude that her kids still feel brave enough to talk to strangers. She pulls her cardigan tighter around her shoulders. "We didn't mean to stop here," she says. "It just sort of happened." You know exactly what she means. Your wife opens the notebook without really deciding to. The wind catches the edges of the pages, flipping them forward, then backward, then settling somewhere near the middle. A half-empty page stares up at her. It should be blank. It isn't. In neat, careful handwriting that neither of you recognize, but both of you know, a single sentence waits. When the road asks you to stop, you're not the only ones it's talking to. Your wife's breath catches. She looks up, meets your eyes. "Let me guess," you say softly. "That wasn't there before." She just shakes her head. "The family hasn't seen the page. They don't need to. They're already living it." You close the distance between you and the man by the car. "Look," you say, "we're not mechanics, but we've got time, and a car, and we passed a town not too far back. We can help you figure this out." The man's shoulders sag with relief and stubbornness both at once. "I don't want to ruin your trip," he says. "Too late," you reply. "It's ruined in a good way now." Your wife snorts. That's just his way of saying, we want to help, she explains. It's just, the woman at the table starts, then hesitates. People don't usually, she trails off, not sure how to finish that sentence without saying too much about the world. Stop, your wife offers. Care, you add. The woman looks at both of you. Yeah, she says. That. You think of the stable you learned about in stories as a kid. The one that was never meant to be a proper room, but still ended up being enough. 4 walls, a roof, and somebody willing to say you can stay here tonight instead of keep moving. You don't say it out loud, but the echo sits between you anyway. The practical details work themselves out slowly, then all at once. There's a payphone near the restrooms. Dusty, but still real. It takes more quarters than seem fair, but eventually you get connected to a tow company 20 miles away. The clerk who answers sounds tired, but not unkind. Yeah, we can send someone. We, he says. Might be a while. You sure you don't just want to leave it and come back tomorrow? You look over at the kids, at the way Naya leans against her mother, at the way Eli keeps glancing toward the highway like he can somehow will help to arrive faster. No, you say. We'll wait. Suit yourself, the clerk says. Driver's name is Miguel. Old red truck. He'll find you. You hang up and pass the news along. The man, who finally introduces himself as Darren, lets out a breath he's been holding since the engine failed. Thank you, he says. Really, we were starting to think we might be stuck out here tonight. You glance at the dark gathering around the edges of the rest area, at the long, thin line of the highway, at the van that decided this was as far as it could go on its own. Sometimes stuck is just another word for held in place, your wife says quietly. Darren frowns. By what? He asks. She closes the notebook gently. By whatever needed us all in the same spot, she says. You sit at the picnic table with the family while you wait. Eli tells you about the road trip they're on. Moving, not vacationing. New job, new town, new everything. He says it like an adventure. But his eyes slide to his mom every time he pauses, like he's checking to see if this is still the story she wants him to believe. Nia lets your wife hold the tiger for a few minutes, under strict supervision. Your wife gives him back with great ceremony and a whispered thank you for your service. Darren talks about the van, how it wasn't the one they wanted, but it was the one they could afford. How it's carried them this far, and he's trying not to be mad at it for choosing this moment to give out. Could have picked a better place, he mutters, glancing around at the empty rest area, at the scrub brush and the yawning dark. I don't know, your wife says. She looks at you, then at the kids, at the notebook on the table. Seems like it picked a place with extra chairs, she says. As the sky turns from gold to purple, the radio in your car clicks on. You're sure you turned it off? The melody drifts across the parking lot from the open driver's side window. Familiar and not. Lonely and hopeful. The way notes stretch out in a way that shouldn't make sense and somehow makes all the sense in the world. Darren's wife, her name is Lena, you've learned, tilts her head. That song, she says quietly. I've heard that before. You and your wife share a look. Where? You ask. She thinks for a moment, brow furrowing. At this little place we stopped once, she says slowly. We were lost and it was late, and there was this diner that didn't look like it belonged to any particular town. We almost didn't go in, but the kids were hungry, and... She trails off. Her eyes meet your wife's. The sign was pink and turquoise, she says. Your wife laughs, soft and delighted, like someone who just found a familiar face in a crowd. Annabelle's, she says. Lena smiles, something like relief crossing her features. I thought I dreamed that place, she admits. You shake your head. No, you say. You didn't. She looks at the notebook, at the matchbook your wife has set gently beside it, at the words on the flap, wherever the road needs a door. Her hand trembles just a little as she reaches out and touches the edge of the page, the way your wife touched the Route 66 shield earlier. So this, she says, glancing around at the picnic table, the highway, the failing light. This is a doorway, your wife says simply. But it doesn't always look like a neon sign, you add. Sometimes it looks like a broken van and a rest stop and people who decide not to pretend they don't see each other. Headlights appear down the road. A red tow truck pulls in, rumbling like an old song. The driver, Miguel, just like the clerk said, steps out, taking in the scene with practiced eyes. "Evening," he says. "Heard somebody's ride decided it wanted a nap." He jokes easily with Darren as they look over the van. Talks about belts and pumps and parts. Says he'll take the van back to his shop in the next town and see what he can salvage. "How are you getting there?" he asks, looking at the kids at the fading sky. Darren hesitates. "We were hoping maybe we could ride with you," he says. Or, "We'll take them," you say. The words are out before you think about them too hard. They just feel obvious. Your wife nods immediately, as if this was the only possible answer all along. "We've got room in the car," she says. "We're heading that way anyway. We can follow you in." Miguel studies you for a second, then smiles slow and certain. "Road's better when folks look out for each other," he says. He looks at the kids. "You two like riding in old cars?" he asks. Eli's eyes widen when he sees your Bel Air. "That's like something out of a movie," he breathes. "It's just old metal and good luck," you say. But you know it's more than that now. Lena touches your arm. "Are you sure?" she asks. "You don't even know us." Your wife's answer is simple. "We know enough," she says. You think of a couple in a story from the Notebook, a couple with a broken radiator who left a diner with more than just a repair. You think of Mary and Joseph finding a place that wasn't meant to be special and making it sacred just by being there. You think of every time you've needed someone to see you were lost without making you feel small for admitting it. Besides, you say, we've been on the receiving end of a few unlikely doors ourselves lately. Feels right to prop one open for somebody else. The ride into town is short, but not small. Eli and Nia sit in the back seat, eyes wide, pointing out every billboard and strange-shaped cloud like they're narrating a personal film. Lena rides up front with your wife, notebook on her lap now, fingers tracing the embossed letters on the cover. She doesn't open it. She doesn't need to. Outside, the sky deepens into full night. The first stars appear, shy and distant. The radio plays that same impossible melody, knitting together all the miles you've driven since you first saw the neon curve out of the dark. At one point, as the tow truck's taillights blink ahead of you, Lena breaks the quiet. "You didn't have to stop," she says. Your wife looks over at her. "No," she agrees. "We didn't." Lena watches the road for a moment. "I'm glad you did," she says. You are too. Miguel's shop turns out to be on the edge of another small town. The kind of place where the lights are sparse but steady and the night doesn't feel quite so big. He promises to call in the morning with news about the van. You help unload a few bags. The kids are drooping with sleep now, leaning into their parents like tired satellites. There's a motel across the street. Of course there is. Not fancy, not terrible. The kind of place where the ice machine sometimes works, and the sign buzzes louder than it shines. You and your wife walk with them to the office. While Darren sorts out the room, Lena lingers on the sidewalk with you. "You really changed your plans for us tonight," she says. "We just shifted them a little," you say. "The road suggested it." She smiles. "You talk about the road like it's alive," she says. You glance at your wife. "We're starting to suspect it might be," your wife says. Lena looks up at the sky, then down at the notebook again. "If that diner ever shows up again," she says, "I hope I remember how this felt." She taps the cover gently, like the world tilted a little toward kindness, just for a second. You nod. "That's the trick, I think," you say, "to be willing to tilt with it, no matter who's on the other side of the table. Different cars, different families, different stories, same need, a place to be seen, a moment of warmth, a reminder that none of us are meant to walk the road alone." Later, back in your own motel room down the block, you set the notebook on the little desk under the lamp. Its yellow light pools around the cover, just like before. When you open it, there's a new entry waiting on a fresh page. Neither of you wrote it, but both of you knew it would be there. Rest area, broken down van, 2 kids, 1 tiger. The diner didn't need to build itself tonight. The road already had enough people to set the table. Beneath it, in smaller letters, "Wherever life takes us, we are still each other's shelter." Your wife reads it twice, eyes stinging. "That's it," she whispers. "That's what she's been trying to tell us." You look at the words. You think of Marlene's voice. Once that place gets into your story, it never really leaves. You think of how easy it would have been not to stop. You think of how many chances like that you might have missed before you knew what to look for. Annabelle's doesn't just show up to feed people, your wife says softly. It shows up to remind us we can feed each other, no matter where we're from, no matter what we look like, no matter how we pray, or if we do at all. You swallow. Little stables by the side of the road, you murmur. She smiles. Exactly, she says. Every time we choose to be one, the diner keeps going. You close the notebook gently. On the nightstand, the matchbook sits next to the lamp. For just a second, you'd swear the tiny printed neon arrow glows. Not bright, not dramatic, just enough. Good night, Annabelle, you say, half to the matchbook, half to the invisible web of connections stretching out along the highway. The lamp flickers once. You tell yourself it's nothing. You don't quite believe yourself. As you turn out the light, you carry one simple thought with you into the dark. You might never know where the diner will appear next, but you do know this. Wherever the road takes you, you always have the choice to be the open door someone else is looking for. And that, you think as sleep finally finds you, might be the real miracle after all.